Hey guys, OG Albina here, bringing you guys a cool little discussion video, a little cup discussion video. Basically a top 10 video on what me and my buddy Blin, who's here with me today, say hi.
Hello.
Yeah, what we think are the top 10 Little Cup mons in the draft format, Little Cup draft format and stuff like that. So, yeah, with that being said, let's just jump right into our number 10 mon. Blin, do you want to take this one, being that you're the guest?
I think I can manage that. So number 10 we got Staryu. Staryu is a phenomenal mon, in my opinion. Some people argue it shouldn't be on this list, but it hits 19 speed. It has analytic, which some people may think, well, why are you running so much speed and analytic? Analytic pops if they switch out. So your water type maybe switch. You might think, oh, that's a safe switch into this thing, clicking Hydro. A modest Hydro, because you can run modest a lot of the time since it hits 19 speed. Not a lot of teams really need to hit that. Or if you want to run a bulkier Staryu, switching into a modest Hydro with an analytic boost hurts. And especially considering this thing's phenomenal special coverage. It gets a phenomenal array of moves. It gets Hydro Pump, as we've already said, Thunder, Ice Beam, Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, Flash Cannon, Power Gem, Tri-Attack, Signal Beam are all mons all moves over 75 power and special, and basically means Staryu can hit almost every mon in the tier for super effective damage before you get into hidden powers. So it's really phenomenal there. It also gets some really nice moves that can be run like Z moves. If you look at like Twister, Z Twister, base 100 dragon type move, really nice. Gets you hidden powers. Also gets access to recover and rapid spin, meaning that you can run this thing kind of bulky.
Bulky Staryu is definitely a thing. When people sleep on Bulky Staryu, I think that's one of its better
sure.
sets. That with Natural Cure, it's a great status absorber too, which a lot of people don't think about.
Oh yeah. It also gets Cosmic Power. So you can run bulky Staryu with Cosmic Power. If they don't have Toxic, then you kind of just win.
Reflect type too.
Yeah, Reflect type.
Reflect type test to beat those mons that would potentially beat you with their stabs or something like that. Like for electric types, if you're faster, that's obviously a really cool option in my opinion.
Oh yeah. You can also get like Curse if you for some reason knocked your head when you were building and wanted to run physical.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Gets Magic Coat to bounce back hazards, so it can be a nice anti-lead for things like, say, a Bonsai lead that's gonna click rocks a lot of the time.
But even then, you can always break it sturdy with just a raw rapid spin and then blow it with a Hydro and rapid spin later or something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like it's this one's really good in my opinion, especially just that speed tier, being great. Hazard control with the rapid spin, reliable recovery, and just like Blin said, so much special coverage. It's absolutely insane. This mon hits literally everything in the tier for super effective damage, unless there might be like a rogue mon that I'm forgetting. But 95% of the stuff you're gonna see, you're gonna be able to break through with Starmie if you play correctly.
It's one of those mons that like you can. If any matchup, like it's not always going to be your win con or like the thing that walls your opponent's team, but you could be like, oh, I don't quite hit this, and this one, and you can build a Staryu and you suddenly hit all three of them. So Water's a very good defensive, but also a great offensive type, so you can build it bulky. If you draft Staryu, I'd be very surprised if you didn't bring it to every game. It's that versatile.
100%. But yeah,
unless you're going up against like Snivy, Magnemite, Fomentus.
Yeah, just very anti-Starmie, but that's not every team, especially in draft. Most teams are gonna have maybe one pivot into this thing, but like it's scary offensively, and if they're prepping, obviously they have to for offensive Starmie. Defensive can kind of just sit in front of a lot of teams too. So yeah, I think Starmie has a lot more value than people really give it credit for. But yeah.
Oh yeah, and I think one thing people also do is they build for this wrong, and they go, I'm going to build my check to be able to eat one Hydro Pump into one Thunderbolt if it's a water type.
Mm-hmm.
They forget to calc analytic,
and then they die to the Hydro Pump.
Suddenly drop, and they drop after rocks or something, and yeah, so that's probably a user error and shouldn't happen when you're playing like some of the top tier or like more competitive battlers. But it's just an additional add on to this thing that I think is really cool.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we should move on to the next mon here. I think we talked a good amount about Staryu. Let's move on to our number 9, which is actually going to be Wingull. Now, Wingle's it's really, really good. It's really good. It's so good, in fact, that it actually got banned from the standard Little Cup tier in Smogon. But it's not too broken for Little Cup, in my opinion. Still very, very good. Its dual stab combination in water and flying, it's absolutely gross. Like Scald slash like Surf Hydro plus Hurricane. Hits so much in the tier. That and Ice Beam. It really does just punch ginormous holes through teams with like a Life Orb set. Abilities wise, it doesn't really benefit from too much. If this thing had Drizzle, I think it would most definitely be banned. This thing would be absolutely disgusting with Drizzle, but you really just need Life Orb and to hit your moves. It's a great Z move abuser as well. Flying EMZ is a great set on a majority of teams as well. It's very, very fast as well. It hits max speed 19 with a timid nature. And despite only having 55 special attack, I really do think just like the dual stab on Wingull is really, really gross in the fact that it just hits everything so hard, because there aren't too many steel types in the tier that want to switch into Hurricane in general, and they don't appreciate Scald and things like that. Wingull also has cool access to, fast utility moves, like, it's a good fast defogger, has access to Roost, if, for some reason you can catch something on a switch and get up a, nice clean Roost to keep yourself healthy.
I think
from Life Orb chip.
The question is there if somehow you manage to live a hit with its.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's more so on the Switch is when you're gonna get up that Roost. This is why I kind of prefaced it with that, because Wingull is very, very frail. Water Flying isn't the greatest defensive typing in the world either. But it can, typically live, it'll live resisted hits and stuff like that. It's not going to just drop to every single priority move in the game from full. But yeah, it isn't very, bulky at all. But it also has access to knockoff, which is good for utility too. If you need to get a fast knockoff on something, access to U-turn for momentum, which is great. Tailwind. So yeah, overall, I think Wingull is very, very good in the right hands, and provided you hit your moves. But it is outsped by a good majority of Scarfers, and it is incredibly, incredibly frail.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great offensive mon. If you get it in right and you pivot around to get it in safely, it claims a kill, or it claims like 70% on a mon.
Oh yeah.
It also gets U-turn, so you can like hit something hard and then pivot out, and suddenly you've got a nice pivot into what was that check for Wingull, and
yeah, you wear down your checks too with
what
burns.
This thing does.
You also can wear down your checks with burns too, which obviously would be nice.
Yeah, this mon does like a few things. It can run knockoff as well to catch its checks on the switch. If you've got like a bulky water with Eviolite, you suddenly knock that thing off, and then it's not.
Yeah, then it turns into a 2-hit KO next time it wants to switch in on Hurricane or something like that. Yeah, I think I mentioned that it does really up its longevity. And then with Z moves, this thing is absolutely terrifying in my opinion. I think that's what really puts it over the top in free Z leagues when you have a Wingull on your team. It really does add another fast prep.
I mean, you're going to be running Fly Z or Water Z because its coverage moves.
It's ice plus flying and water, but like its coverage does kind of suck. But honestly, what else do you really need other than the dual stab?
It gets Shockwave. Tell me why this thing gets.
Does it really get Shockwave? Oh, I'm running Electrium. I'm sorry. You're yeah.
Bro, bulky water. Well, I mean, Flyinium does more than Electrium.
Nah, I'm thinking about the Ducklet that's coming in to check my Wingull. That's what we're blowing away with the Shockwave. There's some big brain stuff right there. But yeah, that's gonna be Wingull. Don't want to ramble on too long about this guy, but it is very, very good. I think it's a little bit overrated, and people look at it and think, oh no, it's banned in regular, so it's obviously gonna be busted here. That's not necessarily the case. I don't think there's other mons that we allow in, at least in APA. We allow them in, our draft league and stuff like that, like Vulpix and Drifloon, and I don't think those are top 10 mons in any stretch of the imagination. Well, they're really good on the ladder, and they're a lot better there, in all honesty. But Wingull is definitely, one of those mons that is banned for a good reason, and is, really, really good in the draft format, at least. But yeah.
Let's move on to the next one.
Yes, sir. The next one is going to be Abra.
Upload times if we drag on too long.
Oh yeah, but the next let's get into it. The next one is going to be Abra right here.
Abra it's like there are kind of like 3 sets you want to run with Abra. You can run Guard Focus Sash one, which means no entry hazards do anything to you. You always live 1 hit unless it's a multi-hit move, and with its base 105 special attack, you claim a kill, basically. It hits 21 special attack. If you go modest, it can hit 19 speed. It's frail and it's weak physically, so like investing there, you can invest to maybe live like priority hits, but if you want to run one of the other sets, which could be a Magic Guard Life Orb set, which they might think that your Focus Sash, switch something in, thinking it can take 2, but suddenly you take a boosted Life Orb hit and you don't. And then the third set that you really could run is like a subset, which again, you're probably running Life Orb with that. You might want to run Scarf sometimes for a niche, but Abra's a little bit one-dimensional, but what it does so well. It clicks special moves, it gets really nice special coverage, it obviously gets stabbed in Psychic, Psyshock, it gets Gleam, it gets Energy Ball, it gets Zap Cannon if you want to do that. It doesn't get Thunderbolt, unfortunately, it gets Shadow Ball, Signal Beam, and then it gets a couple like niche moves, hidden powers, and it does get some things like Taunt, which I think can be really good for your Shell Smash mons or your setup mons. It gets Trick, so you can run like Trick Scarf if you really want to, although you probably don't want to because you're going to die to the next hit. But yeah, it gets some nice utility moves. It gets Recycle, but you're not going to really
Recycle Juice Abra. That's some news. That's why Abra didn't get enough kills for me in Little Cup Wi-Fi Season 1. I wasn't running Recycle Abra. Another niche option I like on Abra too is his access to Psychic Terrain. I've seen it run a fair few amount of times when you go against those scary Sucker Punchers. If you don't want to risk, the sub mind games and stuff like that, you can also go for, well, I mean, it's still mind games, I suppose, but if you go for the Psychic Terrain, and you're able to get that Psychic Terrain, not only do you stop priority against yourself, being it Sucker Punch, Quick Attack, Aqua Jet, Ice Shard, Fake Out, all that good stuff, you're also hitting like an absolute truck. Nobody wants to switch into an Abra under Psychic Terrain. Sounds like a nightmare. You can also
run Z Psychic Terrain and then suddenly you outspeed all the Scarf.
No, Z Psychic Terrain boosts your special attack, because I wanted to run that, but it actually boosts your special. Yeah, I thought it boosted your speed at first too. I was gonna run it versus Tony in Season 1 of Wi-Fi, but I ended up just running Focus Sash Psychic Terrain instead for the Alolan Rattata. But yeah, it's really good. As someone who's used it personally, I think it's a little bit overhyped in my opinion. I think it hits like an absolute truck, and it forces so much prep, and it's a phenomenal blanket check to a lot of scary setup in Little Cup. There's a lot of really scary offensive mons in Little Cup, just with the nature of the metagame and how offensive everything is because of how frail everything is. So having that safety blanket to be able to take any one non-multi-hit move and just retaliate with a ginormous hit and return is obviously really great. And another option with the Focus Sash is counter. If you can, call the play correctly and get off that Focus Sash counter, then you can do a ginormous chunk to whatever, the mon that hit you is, unless it's, obviously a ghost type. But yeah, I think Abra is really, really good. I think it's a little lower on this list than a lot of people would think it is, but in my experience using it, it can be a little bit overhyped just due to its frailty and its, not one-dimensionality, but, kind of predictableness. You're going to see 1 to 3 sets usually run standard. Taunt and Encore is obviously great utility, so it has good utility, but it's not like, a mon where you're like, oh no, what is this Abra going to be this week, Yeah,
it's another one. It's like Wingolin. It does like 2 or 3 things really well.
Yeah, so it's definitely still a big threat. Still an early round 1 pick in my opinion, like a justified early round 1 pick. If you want to take it, in like a top 10 spot, then that's definitely very, very, justifiable. But I do think there are a couple mons higher on this list that, do a lot better than Abra. Just overall as, mons on a team and fulfilling different roles and stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, you want to take us away next with Ponyta, number 7?
So Ponyta is going to be our number 7 mon. This might be a bit of a surprise to people who don't necessarily play Little Cup when you think like, Abra and, mons like Abra that are known to be scary offensively. But Ponyta is a really, really slept on threat in my opinion. It has 2 really good abilities in Flame Body and Flash Fire. Flame Body being the better one of the 2 in most situations, but Flash Fire can really catch an opponent off guard if you want to switch in on the fire type and get that, that boost to your own fire moves. Nothing really wants to take a Flash Fire boosted Flare Blitz or Fire Blast from this thing at all. It's very, very fast. It hits it hits a max speed 19. It can also be very strong and be 17 max attack with an adamant nature, and it's also really good mix too. It still has a very usable special attack stat. You can get all the way up to 17 with a modest nature as well, so you can hit things really hard. Oh man, I had 0 IVs on my damage calculator. You can actually hit 19 attack with an adamant nature, so it's even stronger. You have access to, Morning Sun for recovery. Fat Ponyta is an absolute menace, in my opinion. You still hit really hard regardless of your attack investment. And Morning Sun and Will-O-Wisp and stuff like that, being able to keep yourself healthy is obviously great. This is a phenomenal Z-move abuser. Just with Fire MZ, has Wild Charge for the water types. You can, upgrade that to Electrium if you really want to as well. You have Solar Beam for bulky waters to catch them with the Z Solar Beam. Or you can even set up Sun for yourself and start throwing off just raw solar beams against teams. So Ponyta is really, really slept on. It has great natural bulk, especially when invested to and given an Eviolite. It has base 50 HP, 55 defense, and 65 spadef. So very, very usable if you want to give it the Eviolite, and again, go with a fat Ponyta set. Flame Charge for speed boosting options. It really does just do a lot for a team, in all honesty, whether it be physical wall breaker, special, mix, a bulky pivot. It does a lot for a draft, and I think it's actually really, really slept on, in my opinion. So Ponyta is a lot better than people give it credit for.
It definitely doesn't get the recognition it does. I've seen it go like late round 1 when it really should go like top 10 picks.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I'm so excited to see what they. This is off top. I'm so excited to see what they do with the Galarian form. Well, even though it's a psychic type, spoiler, I guess, right there for those few people who don't know that yet. I think that mod's going to be really interesting
lost, like,
too.
6 subscribers to people trying to go in blind.
Oh no, well, I don't know why they're watching my videos. I think I've talked about that like a million times. But yeah.
But yeah, I think this mod could be really cool. Next gen, but it's also a phenomenal mod this gen.
Oh yeah, it's really good. I've seen a lot of people use it to great success in this in the Little Cup draft scene and stuff like that. Like I said, I think the option to go mix is great.
First ever Little Cup season, APA ran on Showdown. I 6-0'd someone with Ponyta.
That's how you know it's good. If Blin can beat someone with it, then it's really, really a good mon.
Well, by that logic, Tortuga is like
really broken. Man, Tortuga's just broken. Like, that mon's not on this top 10. We're not talking about that. In fact, we're gonna go on to the next mon.
I have managed to weasel Tortuga into every video we have done together.
Aha, that's my favorite. This is the last time Blin will ever be here forever. Next mon, we have Spritzy. You want to take away Spritzy?
Spritzy. Now, Spritzy is one of my favorite Little Cup mons. I love talking about Spritzy because it is phenomenal. It has great bulk, it has great special attack, it's got great utility moves, it's got 2 garbage abilities. Well, I mean, Aroma Veil's not terrible, protecting from taunt, but like, Healer is garbage. It gets Wish Protect, Aromatherapy. If you want to run like a bulky set with Eviolite, it hits 27 HP, and it can hit like 17 Spadef and 16 defense, so it's really bulky. Fairy's a great defensive typing. The way that the EVs work, it only costs you 12 EVs to go up a stat in speed or special attack, so you can most of the time afford to hit 13 special attack even when you're not invested, so it hits a little bit harder than you would think. It also gets Trick Room. Trick Room is a phenomenal set with this thing because you get Trick Room Nasty Plot or just Trick Room, like a few attacks. It gets Thunderbolt, it gets Energy Ball, it gets Moonblast, it gets Flash Cannon, it gets Psychic, it gets access to hidden powers, it gets a lot of coverage. Then there's all the other moves you can run. Screens. It gets Jewel Screens. It gets Rain Dance. It gets Misty Terrain. Magic Coat if you think something's going to try and Toxic this mon, because this is actually one of the few mons that can warrant clicking Toxic against in Little Cup because it just won't die. It gets Calm Mind for like some more setup. Sunny Day to support something. Toxic. This thing has so many sets.
Yeah, I think something that people really sleep on with Spritzy too. Not necessarily sleep on, but I think they underrate it. Everybody thinks of Spritzy as that fat wish passer in Little Cup that's just gonna eat hits and never die. But Trick Room Nasty Plot is freaking terrifying to play against, especially when there's like 5 steel types in the tier that really can take on this thing, like just in general. Especially in the draft format, if you let this thing get up a Nasty Plot and then a Trick Room, it might just punch a giant hole through your team where you just can't recover from it at that point in the game.
It is a great late game sweeper, it's a great early game breaker, it's a great cleric. I could spend this entire video talking about Spritzy because it's one of my favorite Little Cup ones. It also has a cool shiny sprite where it goes purple.
Oh yeah, I have it on the screen. I only have the shiny sprites downloaded on my computer, so it's actually shiny on the screen right now.
Oh, look
Big
at that.
brain.
Same wavelength.
Yeah, I gotta draft this thing though at some point. It looks like an absolute blast.
My
draft.
first ever Little Cup league I did, I had Spritzy Volaby.
Oh man,
broken.
Ugh,
I got Spritzy round 2. This mon should never go round 2. If you are more than 6 picks in,
and it hasn't gone yet.
7th or on, and it hasn't gone, unless something higher up on this list hasn't gone as well, then you grab this mon.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You abandon all plans, you grab this mon, then you draft a poison switch in, you draft a steel switch in, and you enjoy your team.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because that's really all you need with this mon.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Like some of the mons like Ab, Wingull we've talked about, or maybe even Staryu, Ponyta to an extent, you need to you want to draft a couple of mons to support this. You could literally throw Spritzy on a team, draft a steel type or a poison type, and your team is good.
Yeah, it doesn't need supporting, it does supporting itself too, which is great.
It supports itself. Even there are not very many great steel types.
No, exactly. That's why I think offensive Spritzy is super slept on, because nothing wants to take a +2 Moonblast in this tier. Well, not much. There is a few things, but not much wants to take it.
Even you look at the steel types, like Pawniard, one of the strongest steel types, takes neutral from Moonblast.
Oh yeah, and you blow it away at +2.
Mons, you get the Magnemite. Magnemite eats this thing for days.
Unless you got a Trick Room up and you got rocks up, a Hidden Power Ground is not tickling to that thing. You're gonna knock it out. Like this mon, you have to play around it correctly, or it can just absolutely decimate your team, which is even more obnoxious with Big Nose and the little fairy floating around. I would not want to lose this thing. It make me angry. It's just bouncing and flying. No
little eyelids.
No sir, that might even be worse than losing to Tortuga. It might even be worse. That stupid little turtle.
As bad as losing to Ivysaur.
Dang, we're not even talking about regular. This is my escape from regular mon. Okay, we're going to the next one. We're going to another mon when Blin insults me. That's our usual segue. Blin saying, "Hey, Owen,
that's
remember."
How I keep him. This is how I keep Ogle here.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. This make me. I'm gonna run.
So Abra is next, and Apom.
Apom is next. And Apom, these top 5, in my opinion, just like a preface, these top 5 are really interchangeable. Even the top 6 with Spritzy, all these mons are justified being a top 3 pick in Little Cup draft. Let me preface it with that. I think all these are absolutely phenomenal. Apom is no different. This is a mon that is a Little Cup Uber. It is banned in the standard tiering system and stuff like that. It is allowed in APA. However, we do ban Tail Slap on it, which does significantly make it a little bit worse, because your best move to hit mons with is Fury Swipes, which is only 18 base power opposed to 25, and it is less accurate at 80 base accuracy. However, that doesn't make this thing any less terrifying. Skill Link plus Fury Swipes is absolutely terrifying. It gets access to Fake Out. It gets access to a lot of moves that really do hit, potential switch-ins to this thing. Like it gets Fire Punch for steel types. It gets Seed Bomb for potential rock types that want to take these hits. It gets Power Up Punch to potentially boost up its attack and stuff like that. It gets Fast Taunt. It gets so many moves just to hit things really, really hard. It gets Knock Off. Like I said, it gets Fake Out. It gets Agility if you really want to boost up your speed and be ridiculously fast. Switcheroo, U-Turn as well for momentum, Thunder Wave. It has a ridiculous base speed of 85, so it hits max speed 19 at Jolly, which means you can go adamant in a lot of matchups, which allows you to hit, 17 attack with your base 70, which is really, really terrifying to switch into. It is very frail, however, but I think the positives much so outweigh the negatives on this thing. It hits like an absolute truck, and your best way of, killing this thing is with outspeeding it and knocking it out. There's not much that can really just hard wall APOM in the tier, if I'm being completely honest. Do you have anything to say about on APOM, Blin?
I think you've covered a lot of it. That like it's just a great mon. It does what Ambipom does in standard, except there's
less switch-ins to what Ambipom does now. Yeah,
it's a phenomenal mon.
Even if you're feeling a little crazy, you could even go Nasty Plot APOM. I think that's a very viable option because base 40 special attack is not great.
Okay, but I think it's getting time to move on.
If you double it, I'm just saying, hey, I ran Nasty Plot Meowth in Little Cup Season 2, and it did not get to come out.
That's an actual set.
I mean, APOM's a better Meowth, so, I mean, I don't know.
That's debatable.
Spoilers, Meowth is number 1 on this list because Blin, that's the only way Blin would stay here and, do the video with me. But yeah.
Don't be silly, it's Lily.
But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our number 3, which is going to, our number 4, which is going to be Diglett.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to talk about Diglett?
Yeah, and this is my mon. Diglett's a fun mon. It's a trapping mon, and it really does one thing. Well, sorry, it does one thing with 2 different items. It traps, and it either runs Focus Sash, or it runs Ground Z.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to kill a Scarfer, you run Sash. If you're trying to not kill a Scarfer, you run Ground Z and move something. It clicks Earthquake at stab. It only has 55 base attack, so it can hit. It hits 15 or 16 if you're running Adamant. It's not crazy, but ground is a really nice stab. It gets Memento, so you can trap something, click Memento, and get a free switch into some of your setup mons, like a Shell Smash mon, like Tortuga perhaps. It can set up rocks. It can Sucker Punch. Be able to hit those Revenge Killers nice and hard. But yeah, just Arena Trap is that strong. It's the fastest mon equal fastest mon in the tier, hitting 20 speed. That's pretty much Diglett for you. It doesn't do a whole lot of crazy stuff, but the fact that it can trap and remove things for other parts of your team, or run Ground Z and maybe just go through a team late game, is crazy. It also gets a cool move in Beat Up, so you can lead this thing trapped like a Psychic type.
Like an Abra?
Yeah, Focus Sash won't save it because you hit 6 times. And it's it's just a really cool mon.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yes. Like you said, Diglett does one thing with 2 or 3 potential sets. The main 2 are going to be Z and Sash. I think Scarf is a viable option too if you're scared of something that can boost its speed itself, or a really fast Scarf or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, because having that base 20 speed mon with a Scarf, you're going to outspeed a lot of setup. However, it's just, like Blin said, the fact that it can trap. Trapping is so inherently broken and so hard to play around, and it really does just force so much prep. What Diglett offers for a team really does make up for what it has in lackluster stats, in my opinion. It's really fast, and it traps things, which is honestly a lot more broken than it sounds. It supports a team so well. If you can get Diglett plus, a couple other scary mons that need particular types and roles removed, and Diglett can do that for you. You need steel types removed, you need those sturdy rock juice, those sturdy juice rock types removed after they have their sturdy broken, stuff like that. Diglett can really just throw a ginormous wrench in your opponent's game plan and make it pretty much impossible for them to potentially beat you in the late game. But yeah,
it sounds like we're breezing over this mon, but there's really not a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it does this. We're saying it does this one thing, which kind of sounds bad, but again, I can't stress enough how valuable that is, especially in Little Cup, where Little Cup is so much about positioning and pivoting in and out and knowing how to get in the right mons. If you can just stop your opponent from doing that, you gain yourself so much momentum, and you really just, like I said, just kind of can throw a giant halt in your opponent's game plan.
Oh, yeah.
100%. But yeah, let's move on to our number 3.
To your next mon, which is Yanma at number 3.
Yanma, yet another Little Cup Uber. So there's this is going to be the third and final Little Cup Uber on the list. However, this mon is absolutely terrifying. I had to play it one time, and I spent legit the entire build thinking of, how do I not lose to this mon? How do I minimize what it does to me? Yanma, we don't allow it with Hypnosis because it does have access to Compound Eyes Hypnosis, which can be really, really annoying and hard to play around. The whole point of having Hypnosis and, running it is the downside of, the really bad accuracy. However, it with speed boost is still really disgusting. It already hits 20 speed, which, as Blin has been saying, is tied for the fastest in Little Cup. So you click Protect and you are the fastest thing in Little Cup, which is really, really gross. You have a base 75 special attack, so you still hit really hard too. You're not just fast and that's it. You have decent natural bulk and 65 HP and 45 in each of your defenses. It's not like super fat, but you'll live hits and you'll live a lot of priority hits before rocks. The main drawback to this thing is going to be that 4 times weakness to rocks, which can be very, very annoying, limiting you to potentially 1 or 2 switch-ins depending on if you're life orb or not. But with that being said, this mod just absolutely punches holes in teams with a life orb. Bug Buzz and Air Slash obviously going to be your main 2. You have access to like Shadow Ball. You have U-Turn for pivoting. You have Psychic. The hidden powers, Giga Drain for those rock types that want to switch in on your dual stabs. The main thing that you're going to use to check this is going to be bulky steals, like I used a Hone Edge in my game playing against it. But even then, Shadow Ball is again an option. It has a decent attack stat as well, so if you really want to go physical Yanma, it's actually an option. I wouldn't recommend it. But again, this is Draft League, and Draft League is all matchup dependent. So maybe Leech Life is better than Bug Buzz in a particular matchup or something like that. But Yanma's main job in Little Cup tier is to start racking up speed boost and really just run through teams late game. If you can keep rocks away and stay out of range of the priority from your opponent's team. But yeah, that's basically going to be Yanma. Did you have anything else to add, Blin?
Not really. I mean, I've played this mod and I've never lost to it, so it can't be that good.
But... put it back in there, sir. Come on.
No, but for real, I played this. It was actually my finals match against Harry for APA Little Cup Wi-Fi Season 1.
Plug.
It was terrifying. I had a steel type. It was Pawniard. It didn't resist Bug Buzz, which meant that this mon with a life orb 2-tap my entire roster with the right coverage moves. So it's terrifying, but keeping rocks up versus this thing is like it's.
Oh, you need to. It's literally a must because you have to put it in range of your priority. That's going to be your way of killing this thing.
The only other way is if you don't have rocks up is to give this thing a Pokemon and come into something that can live 1 hit, because it does hit incredibly hard. But
it won't one-shot
that
everything.
Most of your roster can live 1 hit. Mm-hmm. So this thing is terrifying. Not terrible. Terrifying.
Bad mon. This is the top 10 worst Little Cup mons in the format. Yes. Number 1, Yanma.
This is terrifying if they leave it till their last or their second last mon out, because it's just Little Cup. It is a lot harder to keep things healthy. And so the longer they keep this in the back, the longer you have to try and keep your checks healthy, and the longer you risk losing to something else.
Exactly.
So that's why this mon is at number 3, because not only can it set up and 2-tap like half the team, which a few mons on this list can do, but it also
the speed control. The speed control.
The sheer fear of losing to this mon, building and playing, is that much more so than I think anything on this so far.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, let's move on to our top 2, which I'm sure everybody knows what our top 2 is going to be. It's just a matter of which order they're going to be. No. No. Number 2, you're going to take this one, Blin, even though it's not Leap or Tutuga. It is going to be Mienfoo.
Mienfoo is... This thing was built for Little Cup because it is all about positioning. It hits one of the best 3 types in the game. It has some of the best stab moves for that type. It gets knockoff, it gets momentum, it gets regen, which keeps things healthy. It is It has so many sets. This is probably one of the better out of all the tiers. Like, this is probably one of the best draft league mons for its tier, just because of the sheer amount of sets it can run. It can run Inner Focus to stop a fake out lead. That's a very niche set, but I have seen it run against Meowth or something else that wants fake out. It can run Regen, and you want this thing to be bulky. Regen with Drain Punch, you take a hit, you Drain Punch a little bit. U-turn. You pivot in, you take a hit, you U-turn out, you suddenly have 90% of that health back again because this thing is so bulky. Or you can run Reckless. Reckless high jump kick. If they don't have a ghost type, they don't have a bulky psychic, you can run through a team. If you just slap a choice scarf on there, you slap a high jump kick. If they've got maybe a psychic type, you slap a double edge on there. Like, that's phenomenal. It gets acrobatics, so if you're on a berry juice set, you want to hit opposing fightings or some grass types, you can run acrobatics. It gets fake out, it gets bulk up, it gets baton pass if your league allows that. I know not very many at all do. It gets knockoff, it gets power up punch, it gets poison jab, it gets sword stance, it gets taunt, it gets U-turn, it gets like
so much.
Jewel chop.
So much. This one gets it doesn't get anything crazy, but it gets everything it needs to be incredibly successful.
It even, like, looking at its base stats, it's got 45, 50, 50 for its bulk stats. Very nice. You can
with an Eviolite that becomes very bulky, especially with the regen. If it didn't have regen, it would be a different story. But that plus regen is phenomenal.
It hits 19 attack as well if you want like that. So that Scarf Reckless set, that's 19 base attack hitting a stab high jump kick.
It's two tapping 90% of the meta. 100%. It's absolutely breaking everything. Even bulky psychics don't want to switch in on like a U-turn or a knockoff.
The other thing is, like, I haven't seen very many people do this, but there is an option of you can actually run mixed because it's got 55 special attack, and like, it gets things like Aura Sphere and Grass Knot are actually its only, and Focus Blaster, it's only 2, 3 good special moves. But a Hidden Power, something like a Ducklet, as you might have mentioned before, switch into this, like say Rocks, being built kind of physically to be able to take rock slides, roost off the damage. You hit this thing with like an HP Electric coming from maybe a Life Orb set, that's going to do a lot. Aura Spheres to be able to hit like very physically bulky. It's a very niche set, but it's again something else this can do that you have to prep for. And it's terrifying.
Oh yeah, I've been using this mon in Clash of Kings, and I've absolutely loved it. I've loved like the bulky. It's also really good with Z too. We haven't said. Z Fight is phenomenal. Z Fly. Z Fly is great for stuff like a Mungus. I mean, Fungus, that would be a great check to this thing. It really does get so much.
That does so much damage. Focus Punch, like a Z Focus Punch, destroys something.
What do you call it? And it also gets access to Feint too, so it gets that double priority combo. While it might not be stab and while it not be like technician boosted from like a Meowth or something like that, it still has its uses. Fake out into Feint. I've run it before. I ran a Fight Z set with I forget what the fourth move was, but I know I had high jump kick, fake out and Feint, and it saved me against against an Abra late game, just because I was able to feint it through a protect, which is obviously, super clutch for me. This mon gets so much. This mon's absolutely amazing.
Honestly, I almost ran out of breath trying to list all the moves that it gets, and it wasn't listing random moves like Fling or Force Palm that you're never going to use. It's listing everything that's relevant. Also, Z Ground, something we haven't missed, like Z Dig. That's a great.
Well, it's definitely a really viable ring too. Yeah, no, 100%, dude.
Yeah. I think we've covered everything with this mon, but it's
really good. If you got first pick in a league, you're either gonna grab this mon or our next mon, which can do as much or arguably more, in my opinion. I've used both, so I think I'm pretty informed on either side. Hopefully Blin can back me up on this, but our number one, the number one best draft Little Cup draft mon, in our opinion, is going to be Volbeat. Now, I know when you saw me and Fu at number 2, you probably assumed that Volbeat was going to be at number 1. I love this mon. I think this mon is So good, dude. It has a really really good stat line. It's really really fat. Base 70 HP, 75 defense, and 65 speed def with reliable recovery and roost. It's amazing. Weak armor makes this thing an amazing pivot as well. Being able to pivot in on those fighting types and stuff like that, get your +2 speed, be able to outspeed them even if they're scarfed most of the time, and then throw off a giant brave bird, U-turn, knockoff. Something like that. It gives you a fast defogger, which is obviously really, really good. Brave Bird is just flying is a phenomenal offensive typing little cup, and you aren't, a giant slouch when it comes to your attacking stats. You still have base 55 attack, which means at base, with that attack, and if you max out your attack and all that stuff, you hit 15 attack with adamant, which isn't anything to scoff at. Nasty plot is a very very viable option on this. If you have a weak armor set, you take a physical hit, get up your nasty plot, and you have things chipped into range. Dark Pulse, Air Slash, Heat Wave just massacres teams, which is obviously really really good. Has access to taunt, has access to U-turn and whirlwind for setup, and knockoff is obviously just such a phenomenal move in Little Cup. Everything wants their item, even if something resists knockoff. Items are so important in Little Cup, whether it be your Eviolite, your Berry Juice, something like that. They're all so important, so being able to have a reliable knockoff Mon to dish out those hits is absolutely amazing. This Mon never doesn't come to a game, in my opinion. There's always a role for Volby to fill, even if it isn't offensive, even if it's not the best defensively. There's something that you'll be able to figure out and do with this thing, whether it be Choice Scarfed or Nasty Plot or, Berry Juice, Eviolite. So much this thing can do.
Oh yeah, this thing. There's no checks for it really. Well, there's Spritzy. Spritzy is a great check for this thing. If you don't have Spritzy, then this mon becomes a trouble for you.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just Spritzy. Even then, if you can catch that thing with a Toxic on the switch, and potentially, you can't taunt it, but you can wear it down with that. You can catch it with a U-turn, go into one of your other mons. Like, this mon is such a nuisance for teams to deal with. I have it right now in Little Cup Wi-Fi if you guys haven't been checking out that season. And I absolutely love this thing. This thing is plus like a Magnemite or something like that. A good electric type forms such a gross
Mention the mon that you have already on your team, almost like it's a shameless plug.
A little bit. I mean, we are on the channel right now. We might have to throw in a few subliminal messages into the thing.
The biggest problem with this mon, there are two problems. One, you want it to do everything every matchup. And two, four move slot syndrome. Yes. Because you want defog, you want U-turn, you want Brave Bird, you want knockoff, you want roost, you want heat wave, you want like a toxic, maybe tailwind, like you want taunt, you want like 17 moves in the matchup. And it's its biggest blessing, but also the biggest curse when building with it. And it might sound weird calling it like that, but it's just, it means that sometimes you can fall into the trap of it being a Jack of Trades, Master of None, when it sort of does things like kind of alright, but you don't actually end up using it to its best ability, which...
Oh yeah, I think you still need to draft other mons in your team which that can perform roles that Volby does. You can't force it to do a lot. You don't want it to be your only, bulky pivot and your only, potential scarfer and your only defogger and stuff like that. I think that's definitely where, some teams struggle with Volby. But I think if you draft, a well-functioning team around it, this thing becomes an absolute menace and can actually just not even become just like, a really good support mon, a really good, bulky pivot. It's a great win con in some games just to Scarf is great and Nasty Plot is phenomenal too, man.
Oh yeah, I think the best thing about this mon is the element of unknown. Like the thing's a bit lower on this list. Like Yanma is a better sweep this mon, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because it hits harder and it does things. Spritzy is a better bulky mon than this mon. But the ability for it to be both, kind of like Mienfu why it's so high. The ability to be able to do both and your opponent kind of having to prep almost 2 checks for it, like a way to be able to
do both. You have to scout the set and then hope it doesn't beat you by that time, or you hope it doesn't, deter your plans or, stop something before then. It does definitely, put a lot of stress on a team and a lot of stress on potential players.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. It lets you be a little bit more free with the rest of your draft because Yeah, it's
It's a great safety blanket too against hard physical offense. A lot of them definitely don't want to, especially like I even though it's part dark, it's not necessarily a flying resist. I think this is one of the best flying type. I mean, fighting, not flying. Even though it's not a fighting resist, I think this is one of the best fighting type checks in the game. Just simply because you can pivot
really
in, always take one if you EV correctly, and then
super
outspeed.
hard
Yeah.
To be able to hit this thing, knock this thing out in one hit, which you really can't because it's thinking at 18 defense and 26 HP. Like that with an Eviolite or even a Berry Juice, like
oh yeah,
things like
you don't. Yeah,
like
that's the thing.
Mienfoo.
You don't need the Eviolite for this thing to be just ridiculously bulky and be great pivot. And get your Berry Juice proc, get back up to full to where you don't have to roost off the damage or anything like that. It's this mod is great, dude. It's absolutely amazing.
But I think as good as it is, we can only ramble on about this thing for so.
I know. But yeah, that is going to be our top 10 Little Cup mods in the draft format, in our opinion. At least the top 10 tier 1s. If you guys would be interested in seeing us do like a top 10 tier 2s, tier 3s, or even tier 4s, which would be a lot more difficult because there's like 2 good ones at all.
I think I could pull out at least 8 good tier 4s.
Yeah, probably. There's a few good ones.
Obviously, they'll have to ask for that video.
Oh, 100%. But let me know what you guys think. If you think our list is terrible, let me know. I'd love to debate in the comments down below. But
just be sure,